How to overcome the fear of rejection. My name is Marco Sander, I'm a psychologist, and I think this video is very necessary because there's a lot of bullshit out there, especially in the personal development area. A lot of people talk a lot of bullshit, a lot of toxic personal development, especially when it comes down about how to let go of the fear of rejection, how to not care what other people think about you. So here's the following, and this is also what science says. This is also, for example, what Abraham Maslow said, the guy who came up with the pyramid of needs. You might know this one. And here's the take on self-esteem. Because if you have a fear of rejection, you're afraid that other people are disapproving you. And that also means that you connect what other people think about you, says something about your own worth. That's the crucial point right here. You're afraid if other people disprove you, that also means that you're not worthy. So that is a self-esteem issue right here. But here comes the point. It's very important in your beginning of your life and also to a certain degree that you have the certain applause and prestige from others and the reputation that others say like, hey, you're doing a good job, like, hey, thank you very much, or people appreciate you. This is a very normal thing that you rest up your self-esteem on. You're not a psychopath, you're not a narcissist, you're a human being, and human beings are by nature, since thousands and millions of years, living in groups. And they build their reputation and self-esteem also with others. That's a very crucial point. But it's a problem if you give all the opinions of the outer world too much weight, because this is only the foundation. And long term, as an adult, the weight of a healthy person who has a healthy self-esteem is rested much more on their own decision and the feeling that, hey, I am competent. I have freedom, I have control over my own life. If you have this feeling, it's also called self-determination. If I feel like I have self-determination over my life, then I feel like I have a healthy self-esteem, independent of what others say. I know it might hurt if other people disapprove and reject me, but nevertheless, I feel healthy. That comes on top of that layer of also having approval of others. Now, my point here is that you need some approval of others. It's important that you have good friends, maybe even a family, a wife, or at least your parents took good care of you. Something from the outer world that gives you a feeling, hey, also other people think I'm good enough. And then on top of that, then the majority, if you're a healthy adult, comes in. This is your own self-worth, your own definition of your worthiness. That's very important right here. So there's nothing wrong with other people disapproving you and you being affected by that. You're a very human being. But the point is now the following. If you're still saying, wait, I think this is still too much, I'm so much afraid of rejection that I'm even afraid to start a business, to talk to people, to talk to girls, and maybe to talk to a man and get into a relationship because I'm so afraid. Then this is a thing, and this is a point we should talk about. Now, there are a couple of things you could do. For example, you could simply reflect on your past successes and think about, hey, what did I do great in the past? What defines me in a positive sense? Because your focus right now is so much on fear, and fear is so much focused on the negative that you forgot about the positive. So I want you to write down evidence that shows that you actually should have a high self-esteem because you have a high value and a high worth. And if you say you don't have any proof for that, you haven't thought deep enough. I'm 100% sure that you can find very good evidence, very good situations in the past where you did something that was great and that showed you have great character and that serves your self-esteem. That's the first point. The second point in the strategy is that you need to understand your current strategy that you're using to maintain your self-esteem. And apparently one of the strategies is that you withdraw because you don't want to do anything wrong. You're not proactive because you're afraid that people will reject you. That's your current strategy, and to a degree it works, but it's not an optimal strategy. That's why you're watching this video. So I want you to analyze your strategies in life. How do I make use of that, and what am I missing out here? And where are they coming from? Because probably they're coming from your childhood, with friends, with siblings, but most likely with your parents, something with your parents you learned there. Maybe your parents only applauded you when you did a good job, when you worked hard, when you had a good grade in high school, and you noticed, I need to do something and perform great to be worthy. And if I don't perform great, then I'm not worthy. And if other people see this, then I'm definitely not worthy. There are some limiting beliefs, and I want you to figure out where they're coming from. And then you can work on them psychologically. You can release them with, for example, inner child work, depth psychology. Sometimes it's even valuable to bring in people, family members into the coaching sessions. Not necessary, but sometimes it helps. But that's very important, that you look at the problem, look at your wrong strategies, and look where they're coming from. Very important. And lastly, the question is then, how can I long-term focus more on my definition of self-esteem and not so much of others? That's then the final step. How can I make sure that I'm not relapsing, that I'm always having this reflex of checking outside and checking others whether they think I'm doing a good job, instead of just looking inside and feeling, hey, do I think I did a good job? Do I feel I'm worthy? And that's the last step. And there's, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy is very helpful. That again, you noticed where my beliefs and thoughts are coming from, what are the triggers, how can I change those belief systems? And here's another important point. If you change your belief systems, don't try to change them into something that just sounds positive, but you don't actually believe it. That's called toxic positivity. It doesn't work. You feel like a fake because deep inside don't believe it. So you need to change it into something that you honestly and truthfully believe, but it is much more fruitful. Yeah. A couple of points. Also a lot of density right here. If you want to figure out what this tangibly means for you, if you want a strategy that really fits to your personality, to your struggle, then I suggest that we talk. There's a link in the description below. You can just sign up for a talk and a call with me. And this is exactly where we develop the strategy. And then at the end of the strategy, we can make a decision whether we want to work together or not. But there are no strings attached. So again, book this call. What are you waiting for? You're probably walking around with this problem for, honestly, probably for years, maybe even more than a decade. And you know how much you wasted already. And probably you actually don't know how much opportunities you lost, how many people you could have met, how much more money you could have made. Maybe you could have already been married, whatever it could be. But you're losing out on so much. Fear of rejection is one of the biggest things that's holding people back. The characteristic of proactivity, being proactive and engaging and going out there and proactively engaging in certain behavior. This is what's proven to be has the highest correlation with success in all areas in life. And the fear of rejection is poison for that. And you want to get rid of this poison. So let's talk.